As long as anyone today can remember, politics has always been about mudslinging and attacking the opponent. It's always been a struggle for power, with no real considerations for the wants or the needs of the constituency. In the rare case that we get a politician that actually has the interests of the people at the center of their platform, they're smeared by the media and their opponents as these radical extremists. Because they are. The idea of bringing genuineness and compassion into the political realm is an extremely radical idea because the money hungry and power obsessed establishment has no room in their bloated government apparatus for a person who's unwilling to be a cog in the machine. The political zeitgeist that I've just described has a tremendously effective trickle down effect. The right wing, historically, has little understanding for sympathy or for mental health issues, addiction, freedom of speech, sexuality, ideas that fall outside the current headspace. Now, before you attack me for that, just think about the early 2000s, in the 1990s, and maybe even before that, before you saw the huge revolution that's still ongoing on the right. Where more libertarian views they're moving into prevalence. You still have the more conservative types that would legislate their own morality, but Donald Trump in particular kind of ushered in a new type of right winger, the one that really just prefers to be left alone. Meanwhile, on the left, you've got screeching blue-haired harpies who to whom the government often cows down and surrenders all kinds of ground on a regular basis. They're ridiculously anti-free speech, they're anti-constitution, they're anti-anything that goes against their particular pet issues. They're remarkably ideologically possessed. They speak in nothing but talking points and rehearsed language, and they are incapable of thinking beyond what their narrow-minded celebrities, television personalities, or university professors have indoctrinated them into. Now, this is not some ultimate fence-sitter speech. I promise that I'm actually making a point. If you go to any political space on like Twitter or Facebook or even worse Reddit, here's what you're going to find. Nothing on there except just name calling, hateful accusations like commie or Nazi. Those are all common. People accuse each other of all the isms, the racism, the sexism, and so on. People become really emotionally invested and they call each other's employers, try to make people lose their jobs. Families are broken apart because one person holds a political view that another disagrees with, and then everybody has to take sides. All the humanity is being stripped away due to political affiliation, and it's true not only for activists, it's true for everyone, even those who are not really actively engaged in the political discourse. And those that are actively engaged, they push to just guilt trip everyone to follow them into the frenzied attempt to bring their ideology to prominence. Ideology is all that matters. Power is the ultimate goal. So, pretty much so far, everything that I've said is totally indisputable. We all know this. But today, I was thinking about it while I was at work, and let me tell you a story about two people that I met today to help you understand what I'm saying. I saw both of these people in one day. What are the odds, right? The first was a young man. He was my own age. He had sustained a serious brain injury in a hit and run related to gang activity. He could barely communicate. He spends most of his time in bed. He has abnormal muscle tone that just causes constant pain. He has an ingrown toenail that is just it's incessant, nagging, almost unbearable pain, even with medication. He lives with his family in a trailer in one of the worst neighborhoods of the city, and he can't get the care that he needs. The ingrown toenail can't even be addressed because he gets his care through Medicaid, and Medicaid doesn't cover podiatry. How stupid is that? He can't get the care because it's on the wrong part of his body. He constantly pulls out and dislodges his feeding tube, and because he can't really understand what he's doing due to cognitive deficits. But because of the ridiculous restrictions from Medicaid, his family has to call 911 just to get him to the hospital so that his tube can be repositioned. It's a terrible situation. Patient number 2 is a young transgender man in one of the most affluent areas in the region, surrounded by multi-million-dollar houses in his neighborhood. Sustained a serious anoxic brain injury secondary to an intentional overdose. He's got a very supportive family, lives at home but can only communicate with yes and no, has little to no voluntary control over any muscles, and the cognitive capabilities of a toddler. So think about the difference in these two families, right? Their needs are vastly different, but they've both gone through an extraordinary amount of suffering due to the devastating injury to a loved one. But even more profoundly, think about the difference in these two young men. One lived in poverty all his life, and you could say that he's kind of the victim of the circumstances, ended up in a tremendously sad situation following that. The other grew up with every type of privilege, but struggled with mental health issues that the people around him did not understand. And they both ended up in very vulnerable and really just a very human state. They have innate value. They deserve the best care and services that are available to them. Not because of who they are or what they were prior to injury, because they're human beings. All politics aside, this is the thing we're missing. This is why our country is in the state that it is. The internet, the social media, the dehumanization, it's ripped away any semblance of compassion from our cultural and political discourse. Think about how it's just become all about scoring points against the other team. Please, the next time that you have a political discussion, think about these families, these people that I'm telling you about. You don't understand people until you've seen someone at their most vulnerable. And my God, it doesn't get more vulnerable than this. We're far too comfortable othering people because of the political tribe. You have to be able to reach across the aisle and negotiate. Do it with compassion. Listen. I guarantee you that you will be humbled if you listen. You don't know as much as you think you do. Thanks for hearing out this rant. I'm not saying you have to be all nicey nice, because I'm not. I make fun of people. I like to talk shit. But what I'm saying is, if we as a group of people want anything to really change, when it comes to the reaching out across the political aisle, to the average person, you have to be compassionate. Now, there's people, you talk about the politicians themselves. Those are people that I don't feel bad about just being like, nope, you're beyond saving. But I'm talking about your average person. I know this is a little bit of a heavy topic, but people keep sending me clips of Tim Pool or Vosh or some stupid ass debate me bro. And I just felt like we forget what's really important in the political discourse and what the point of politics is. It's trying to bring it together and make something better for all of us. It's not just about scoring points against the other team. You can follow me on Twitter at SeattleIJ, comment, subscribe, and I will see you next time.